In this tutorial, we're talking about how to stand up straight, how to sit up straight, how to extend your body and get yourself out of these hunched postures. So we're going to be looking at the anatomy of the thoracic spine. We're going to look at the movements of the thoracic spine, and then we're going to take you through an exercise that will help you extend it, sit up straight, stand up straight, get out of that hunched posture. So the anatomy that we are talking about are thoracic vertebra, ribs, shoulder girdle and joint, and the trapezius and the rhomboids. So the thoracic vertebra are coloured in red here. Basically takes up sort of, let's just say, 2/3 of the spine, and it's essentially where your ribs are. So your ribs attach onto the thoracic vertebra, as you can sort of see as we go up the spine here, obviously to the left and to the right of it as well. We've also got the shoulder girdle and shoulder joint. Now the shoulder girdle is the shoulder blade all the way up and across the collarbone, again both sides, and then you've got the shoulder joint, which is where essentially the arm joins on to the torso. Now these are closely related, and to understand whether we've got albeit a sort of rounded shoulders, or is it just a hunched spine, there are certain ways that we can do that. So I'm assuming that we've got a rounded spine, so we're not really going to touch too much on the shoulder girdle and the shoulder joint with regards to range of movement and improving it. We're just going to look at the thoracic spine. But the shoulder girdle and the shoulder joint are closely related because they interact with each other, and if we've got a healthy thoracic spine, our shoulder girdle and shoulder joint is going to be much healthier because of that. And then the muscles that are associated with it, or the sort of most basic muscles, are the trapezius and the rhomboids. Now the rhomboids is the one covered in the, or coloured in the red here. You've also got rhomboid minor here, and as you can see, that is joined on to this sort of medial border or inside of the shoulder blade. So the rhomboids basically join on here, and that's another reason why they interact with each other, because they join basically the thoracic spine to the scapula, the shoulder blade. We've also got the trapezius, which basically covers the length of the thoracic spine. So it goes from this lower part here all the way across. We'll also get parts of it on the shoulder blade, and then it'll go all the way up and across onto the AC joint, and then all the way up into the base of the head there. So again, it covers all the vertebra of the thoracic spine. So if we can get the thoracic spine into a good position and properly moving, these muscles and these joints work more effectively as well. So we don't just get better posture, we get healthier joints as well. So what we're now going to talk about are the let's just say the basic two movements that we want to be improving when we talk about the thoracic spine. Put very simply, it's extension and rotation. So these are the two movements that we want to be focusing on. When we come on to the next part, I'm going to be focusing on extension. So I'm not going to be talking too much about the rotation of it. I'm just going to be talking about the extension of it. But rotation is an essential part of the thoracic spine. It is limited due to the rib cage, because that obviously is a slightly more fixed unit. So it's very much sort of restricted by that, but it needs it. So extension is this bottom picture here. So you could see me on a roller here, and basically what I'm doing is this is right at the base of the thoracic spine. So lumbar spine starts about here. We've then got sort of the bottom portion, and then you've got the top portion of it here. So I'm going through the bottom portion, and what I'm doing is I'm extending over the roller. So I'm using the roller and using essentially the weight of my shoulders, head and arms acting as a lever to pull my upper body down, so I can then extend over the thoracic spine. Extend over the roller, extending the thoracic spine. When it comes to rotation, you can see here again, I'm in another stretch, and I am rotating the spine in this direction. Now, this stretch also can extend the spine, so the closer I walk my hands towards my body, the more the torso goes upright. The more I take my hands away, the more it goes into either a normal position of the spine, or it can go into a slightly flexed position of the spine. But as you can see here, I'm slightly extended and rotated. So there are stretches that can do both. As I mentioned, in the next part, we're just going to look at the extension of it. And then there are, as I'm showing here, there are also stretches, movements and mobility exercises that you can start to do to be able to extend and rotate, which is optimal. So the two movements that we're going to be focusing on, or the two fundamental movements, are extension and rotation. And then the one that we're going to be focusing on next is the extension of the thoracic spine. In this final part of the tutorial, we're going to put into practice what we've been talking about. So we're going to use a roller over here, and we're going to use this to help extend the spine. So what's going to happen is we're going to sit in front of the roller, and then that's going to go essentially in between the shoulder blades to keep it as simple as possible towards the base of it. And then what's going to happen is essentially we're going to roll over behind it. Again, if the neck feels like it's straining too much, then it'd be best to choose a different way of doing this. But for now, we're just going to go with this one. I recommend bringing arms over the chest. You can use sort of arms over to act as an extra lever, but we're just going to focus on the thoracic spine because that will then involve the shoulders, the pecs, so on and so forth. But we aren't accessing that just for the moment. So we want the base of the scapula or shoulder blade and lower part of or mid to lower part of the back, and then we're just arching over it. So that's the first part and the fundamental part of what we're trying to do. We're trying to extend the thoracic spine. Now there's a second point to this, which is what some people can do is they can arch right over and they can arch this lumbar part of the spine. Now that's something that we want to avoid, or certainly want to minimize. So what we're going to do, we're going to come into this position. We're then going to brace the abdominals and we're going to try and fix the lumbar spine in position. What we're then going to do is then go back over and hold that position. If you want to hold your hands behind your head, you can, but we're holding tummy strong, lumbar spine in position. So we're holding there, and then we're extending through the thoracic spine. Now what we can do as well is we can do this in segments. So at the moment I'm on sort of the lower portion of the thoracic spine. So what I might do is I would come over, I would extend that thoracic spine, holding the abdominal brace, maintaining position of the lumbar spine, holding there, then come out, and then I could go through sort of 5 or 6 repetitions, just holding for say 10 seconds each time, and then I would come out, go back in. So I'm opening up that sort of lower segment of the thoracic spine. What I can then do, roll up the spine a little bit and then just do exactly the same. Just rolling back, again holding tummy tight, going back over, just doing the exact same movement, just opening out the thoracic spine. I could go and hold, and then finally the top part, exactly the same. Again, holding the lumbar spine with your abdominals. The ribs will lift because the thoracic spine is extending. So we're just opening out, holding like so. So that's just a nice simple exercise, simple routine to extend the thoracic spine. Now, as I've mentioned before, there is thoracic rotation as well, which you could include in that. But for now, we've got that nice simple exercise where it's just a case of extending the thoracic spine whilst also maintaining the lumbar spine in position. The final part of this tutorial is just to talk about if you have a stiff thoracic spine, so if it's not moving as well as it could. Now what you might find is I've described one already, but you can also find if you're stiff in the thoracic spine, which is the middle part of the spine, you've got a cervical and a lumbar underneath it, you can compensate there. So it's just to be mindful, as I've talked about already, with both of these positions, with this position and both of these areas of the spine, It's fixing this lumbar spine, and what I've done through the tutorial is to manage the head position and the amount the neck muscles is I've just placed my hand behind the head here. So there's rhyme and reason to what's being done. So I'm holding here in position. I've also put my hand on my lower back, hand behind my head to hold and make sure these positions stay the same. So what I'm then doing is I'm then getting the extension from the thoracic spine, because as I mentioned at the start, if you are stiff in the thoracic spine, you can extend the neck and you can extend the lumbar spine to be able to give the illusion that you're extending the thoracic spine, if that makes sense. There will be some there, but it won't be as effective as if we're holding this in position, we're holding this in position, and just allowing that thoracic spine to extend over the roller. So many thanks for watching, and I'll speak to you in the next tutorial.